Edit the woman in Vanessa's beach house was wearing the white robe Vanessa had bought for Adrian's mother. Vanessa stopped 3 feet inside the entryway, one hand still wrapped around the cold brass handle, while the Atlantic rolled beyond the glass walls with a low, endless thunder. The house smelled of citrus cleaner, expensive perfume, and the faint salt carried in through an open patio door. Bianca Russo turned from the kitchen island with a champagne flute in her hand, bare feet on pale oak, gold earrings catching the hard afternoon light. For half a second, neither woman moved. Then Bianca tightened the robe at her waist as if she had every right to be comfortable there. Vanessa. Her voice came out soft, almost practiced. Upstairs, a drawer slammed. Footsteps crossed the hardwood. Adrian appeared at the landing in gray slacks and an open-collared shirt, freezing when he saw his wife below. The silence between them was broken only by the refrigerator humming and gulls crying beyond the deck. Vanessa's eyes moved from Adrian to the suitcase beside the staircase. Not an overnight bag. A full-size cream suitcase, unzipped, with dresses hanging over the edge. Another suitcase stood near the guest room. Bianca's shoes were lined neatly beside the wall. This wasn't a visit. Vanessa set her car keys on the marble console. The small metal click sounded unnaturally loud. How long? Adrian descended slowly, one hand sliding along the walnut railing. You weren't supposed to come down here today. Vanessa looked at him. That wasn't my question. He reached the final step and exhaled through his nose, irritated more than ashamed. A few days. Bianca stared into her glass. Vanessa walked farther into the room, her heels striking the floor she had personally chosen during the renovation. She remembered approving the soft blue cabinets because Adrian's mother loved the ocean. She remembered signing the closing papers alone. Now a silk scarf she had never seen before hung across one of the dining chairs. Your parents know she's here? Adrian's jaw shifted. They're staying with my sister this week. So you moved your mistress into the house I bought them. Don't call her that. Adrian's answer came fast. Vanessa's fingers rested against the cool marble countertop. What should I call the woman living in my house with my husband? Bianca finally set the champagne down. The base struck glass with a brittle tap. Adrian told me this belonged to his family. Vanessa turned toward him. Adrian lifted his chin. It does. You gave it to my parents. Outside, sunlight flashed white across the water, forcing Vanessa to narrow her eyes. Inside, the air conditioning pushed cold air across her arms. I let them live here, she said. Adrian gave a short laugh and walked toward the bar. Vanessa, don't turn this into some legal technicality because you're angry. He poured himself bourbon, the amber liquid hitting ice with a sharp crack. This is my family's beach house. She watched him drink from a glass she had purchased, standing beneath a roof she had paid for, defending another woman's place inside it. Then Vanessa glanced toward the hallway, where Bianca's luggage waited like a declaration. Her voice lowered. Is that what you really believe? Adrian didn't hesitate. Yes. Vanessa nodded once. No shouting. No tears. She picked up her keys, opened the front door, and stepped into the salt-heavy air. Behind her, Adrian called her name, but she never turned around. By the time she reached her car, her phone was already in her hand. She opened the property records she had saved years ago and stared at the only name printed beside owner, Vanessa Cole. Edit Adrian called before Vanessa reached the coastal highway, and by the third vibration, she pulled into an empty overlook above the water. The engine ticked beneath the hood while wind pushed salt through the cracked window, carrying the distant crash of waves against the rocks below. She answered without greeting. Turn around, Adrian said. His voice came through the speakers beneath the muted rush of traffic. We need to handle this like adults. Vanessa watched a gull hover against the wind beyond the windshield. You moved Bianca into that house. Temporarily. Her clothes are in the bedroom. Silence. Then ice clicked against glass on Adrian's end. He was still drinking. Her bourbon in her house. My parents aren't using the place this week, he said. Nobody was being hurt until you showed up looking for a fight. Vanessa's thumb tightened against the steering wheel's stitched leather. You brought your mistress into the home I bought for your parents, and I'm the one looking for a fight. Stop saying, I bought it, like that settles everything. Adrian's voice sharpened. You bought it for my family. That makes it our family property. A truck swept past the overlook, its tires hissing across the pavement. Vanessa waited until the sound faded. Your name isn't on the deed. Another pause. Shorter this time. That's paperwork. It's ownership. Adrian laughed once, but there was no ease in it now. You're not seriously threatening my parents because you're angry with me. Vanessa looked down at the property records still glowing on her phone. She could see the closing date, the parcel number, the legal description, and beneath all of it, her own name. She closed the page. I haven't threatened anyone. Good. Then come back. His tone shifted into the one he used when negotiating vendors for the lifestyle company Vanessa had helped him launch, the calm assumption that resistance was merely a delay before agreement. Bianca can stay somewhere else tonight. You and I will talk tomorrow after you've cooled down. Vanessa turned the ignition off. The sudden quiet made the ocean sound closer. She leaves now. Vanessa. Not tonight. Not after dinner. Now. Through the phone came the muffled sound of a sliding door, then Bianca asking something Vanessa couldn't make out. Adrian lowered his voice. You don't get to humiliate her because you walked in on something you weren't prepared to understand. Vanessa's lips parted, but no answer came for several seconds. Her wedding ring pressed against the phone. Finally, she said, there's nothing complicated about where you chose to put her. Adrian exhaled hard. This house belongs to my parents in every way that matters. Vanessa looked at the ring. Then she removed it. The gold left a pale indentation around her finger. You keep saying that. Because it's true. Then ask them who paid. The down payment. Adrian went silent. Ask them who wired the closing funds. Ask them whose account paid the property taxes last year. Ask them who pays the insurance every month. She placed the ring inside the center console and shut the lid. You gave them the house, he said. No, Adrian. I gave them a home. Vanessa restarted the car. There's a difference. She ended the call before he could answer and drove north, the beach house shrinking in the rearview mirror until its white roof disappeared behind the dunes. 20 minutes later, Adrian sent 3 messages. The first told her she was overreacting. The second warned her not to involve his parents. The third was only 4 words. Don't do anything stupid. At the next red light, Vanessa opened her contacts. Her finger moved past Adrian, past his mother, past every person who would tell her to wait until morning. She stopped at the attorney who had handled the beach house purchase. The light turned green. Vanessa tapped call. Edit. Vanessa's attorney answered on the 4th ring, and by the time she reached her downtown condo, the city lights were trembling across the black windows like reflections on water. She kicked off her heels beside the entry bench and crossed the cool limestone floor while Daniel Mercer's voice filled the kitchen speaker. I pulled the closing file, he said. Paper rustled on his end. Vanessa opened a cabinet and took out a glass, but instead of wine, she filled it with cold water. The refrigerator motor hummed beneath the distant traffic 20 floors below. Tell me exactly what I own. Daniel paused. The beach property is titled solely to Vanessa Cole. No co-owner. No life estate. No transfer recorded afterward. Vanessa leaned against the quartz counter. And Adrian's parents? Occupants with your permission. Unless you signed something separately that I never saw, they don't own the property. She stared at the condensation gathering beneath her fingertips. 6 years earlier, Adrian had brought her to his parents' cramped rental after a storm had damaged the roof. His mother had served coffee from mismatched mugs while his father quietly moved a bucket beneath a brown ceiling stain. Vanessa had said almost nothing that afternoon. 3 months later, she had taken Adrian to see the beach house. She could still hear his mother's shoes crossing the empty oak floors, the sharp little gasp when the sliding doors revealed the Atlantic. You did this, his mother had whispered. Adrian had looked at Vanessa before answering. We did. Vanessa hadn't corrected him. She had signed the $180,000 down payment wire herself. She had covered the closing costs, then replaced the aging HVAC system before his parents moved in. Adrian had chosen the patio furniture. His family had thanked them both. At the time, Vanessa had simply squeezed his hand beneath the dining table. Now that same hand had carried Bianca's suitcases through the front door. Vanessa? Daniel's voice pulled her back. I'm here. Do you want me to prepare anything tonight? Her gaze shifted toward the framed photograph near the kitchen. Adrian stood beside his parents on the beach house deck, one arm around each of them. Vanessa was behind the camera. Not yet. She ended the call and opened the banking app on her phone. Property tax, insurance, utilities, landscaping, pool maintenance. Every recurring charge flowed through accounts funded by her company distributions. Adrian had always called the house a gift. But a gift, Vanessa now understood, was what he remembered receiving. He had forgotten who kept paying for it. Her phone buzzed against the counter. Adrian. This time she answered. Music played faintly behind him, something smooth and expensive, and Vanessa recognized the beach house sound system. Did you call a lawyer? He asked. No greeting. Yes. The music disappeared. Jesus, Vanessa. A door slid shut on his end, cutting off the ocean. My parents loved that house. So did I. Then don't punish them for what happened between us. Vanessa ran one finger around the wet rim of her glass. You brought Bianca there. Because it was available. You had hotels. I wasn't going to spend $2,000 a night when there was an empty house. The sentence settled between them. Vanessa looked toward the dark window, where her own reflection stared back beneath. The pendant lights. An empty house, she repeated. Adrian's breathing changed. That's not what I meant. No, it's exactly what you meant. She walked to the photograph, lifted it from the shelf, and turned it face down. You saw something I paid for and decided it was yours to use. Vanessa, don't make a financial decision tonight that you'll regret tomorrow. She opened her laptop. The blue-white screen illuminated her hands. You should have thought about that before you moved her in. What are you doing? Vanessa found Danielle's email and began typing. For words appeared beneath her fingers. Prepare the sale documents. She pressed send. Something I should have done the moment you confused my generosity with your ownership. Edit the next morning. Vanessa stood barefoot in her kitchen while the espresso machine hissed and pale sunlight cut across the limestone floor. Her laptop sat open beside a cooling cup, Danielle's draft sale authorization waiting in her inbox, but another screen had caught her attention first, the household card dashboard. Adrian's name appeared beneath hers as an authorized user. So did a string of charges from the previous 48 hours. Vanessa didn't hunt for explanations. She simply read what Adrian had chosen to spend. A coastal boutique, a luxury grocery market, a wine shop 3 miles from the beach house, then a $1,460 charge from a designer store. Her phone vibrated against the quartz. Adrian's mother. Vanessa let it ring twice before answering. Vanessa, sweetheart. Evelyn Cole's voice sounded careful, with dishes clinking somewhere behind her. Adrian said you two had an argument. Vanessa closed the banking window. Did Adrian tell you why? A faucet ran on Evelyn's end, then stopped. He said Bianca needed somewhere to stay for a few days. Vanessa's hand went still around the coffee cup. You knew she was there? Adrian asked whether we minded. The refrigerator hummed into the silence. Vanessa lowered the cup without drinking. And you said yes. It's complicated. Is it? He's our son. Evelyn's voice dropped. We weren't going to interrogate him about his marriage. Vanessa walked toward the windows. 20. Floors below, morning traffic moved between towers, horns rising faintly through the glass. You didn't have to interrogate him. You only had to tell him not to move another woman into the house I bought for you. Please don't say it that way. What way? Like we owe you every time you mention the house. Vanessa stared at her reflection. Behind it, the city looked washed in silver. I've never asked you for anything because of that house. I know, but Adrian says lately you've been controlling about money. Vanessa's eyes dropped to the phone. He said that. He said you remind him constantly that you earn more. Vanessa slowly returned to the island and reopened the card account. A new pending charge appeared while she watched, $386.72 at a waterfront restaurant. Adrian was spending from her account while his mother explained why Vanessa should be less controlling about money. Evelyn, she said, whose card do you think Adrian uses? No answer. Who pays the beach house insurance? Still nothing. The property taxes? The utilities? The pool service? Vanessa, marriage isn't supposed to be an accounting exercise. No, it isn't. She clicked Adrian's card profile. The screen displayed his spending limit, $25,000. And it isn't supposed to be permission to take whatever belongs to your spouse. Evelyn inhaled sharply. Please don't do something that affects everyone because Adrian made a mistake. Vanessa looked at the pending restaurant charge. Moving Bianca into that house wasn't a mistake. He packed her luggage. She ended the call. Seconds later, another notification appeared. Adrian had used the premium card to place a $3,800 hold at an oceanfront hotel. Vanessa stared at it, then reached for the physical card she kept in the drawer. Same black finish. Same account number. Her phone rang again. Adrian. She answered. Restaurant noise filled the line. Silverware, voices, a burst of laughter. Did you talk to my mother? He demanded. She called me. You upset her. Vanessa slid the card across the counter with one finger. You moved your mistress into her house with her permission. Bianca is leaving today. Good. And I booked a hotel while we sort this out. Vanessa's gaze settled on the $3,800 authorization. With my card. The restaurant noise seemed suddenly louder. Adrian waited a beat. Our card. Vanessa opened the account controls. Her cursor hovered over lock authorized user. Come home tonight, Adrian said. We'll discuss the house, the cards, everything. But you stop threatening my family, and you do not sell that property. Vanessa clicked. Adrian's card status changed from active to locked. At the restaurant, somewhere miles away, a payment terminal gave a sharp electronic beep. Adrian stopped speaking. Vanessa closed the laptop. You wanted to discuss the cards, she said. Now we can. Adrian arrived at the condo 40 minutes later, and Vanessa heard his key scrape twice against the lock before the door opened. The hallway lights cast a warm stripe across his charcoal jacket, but cold air followed him inside, carrying the faint smell of restaurant smoke and expensive cologne. He dropped his keys onto the limestone console hard enough to make the metal bowl jump. Turn the card back on. Vanessa sat at the dining table with her laptop open, Danielle Mercer's sale documents displayed beside a yellow legal pad. She didn't look up immediately. Bianca out of the house. Adrian loosened his collar. Yes. Her luggage too? Yes, Vanessa. He crossed the room, shoes striking the floor in clipped beats. Now unlock the card. Vanessa closed the laptop halfway. Why? Adrian stared at her as though the question itself were insulting. Because I use it. That isn't an answer. For business. Travel. Dinners. Everything we've always paid for. Everything I've always paid for. The refrigerator compressor clicked off, leaving the room so quiet Vanessa could hear the faint buzz of the pendant lights above them. Adrian planted both palms on the table. There it is again. What? Money. His wedding band flashed beneath the light. Every time you want control, suddenly it's your money, your house, your accounts. Vanessa reached into the center console drawer beside the dining room and placed her wedding ring on the table between them. The gold made a tiny sound against the wood. Adrian's eyes dropped to it. You want to talk about control? She said. You moved another woman into a property you don't own, charged her expenses to an account you don't fund, then called your mother when I objected. Adrian straightened. I didn't call my mother to gang up on you. She knew Bianca was there. His mouth tightened. My parents didn't want to get involved. They got involved when they gave you permission to use my house. Their house. Vanessa reached for the legal pad. She turned it around. Down one side. She had written the beach house expenses in blue ink. Mortgage payoff at purchase, property taxes, insurance, utilities, maintenance, renovations. Beside Adrian's name was a blank column. Show me where you paid for it. He didn't touch the page. Marriage isn't a spreadsheet. You said that house belongs to your family. I'm asking what made it theirs. Adrian pushed the pad away. You bought it for my parents. I bought it so your parents would always have somewhere safe to live. Same thing. No, Vanessa stood. Her chair legs dragged softly across the floor. Because you apparently heard family home and decided it meant private hotel. Adrian turned toward the windows, rubbing one hand across his jaw. Below them, headlights crawled through the city in white and red streams. What do you want me to say? Nothing. He looked back. Nothing. I wanted the truth yesterday. Today I want boundaries. Vanessa opened her laptop again. Daniel's message waited at the top of the screen. Documents ready for signature. Bianca stays out. You stop using accounts funded by me. And you stop telling people property in my name belongs to you. Adrian's face changed when he saw the screen. You actually had papers prepared. Yes. He stepped closer. You're not selling that house. Vanessa clicked the document. You don't get to tell me that anymore. My parents live there. And I'll make sure they have time to arrange somewhere else. Adrian's palm landed flat beside the laptop. If you list that house, Vanessa, you're ending this marriage over one mistake. She looked at his hand, then at him. No, Adrian. You made the choice when you carried Bianca's suitcases through that door. She entered her electronic signature. The confirmation box appeared. Adrian reached toward the laptop, but Vanessa rotated it away before he touched it. Think carefully, he said. His voice had dropped almost to a whisper. Once you do this, You can't pretend it's just an argument. Vanessa clicked submit. A soft chime came from the speakers. Signature complete appeared across the screen. She shut the laptop and slid his locked black card across the table toward him. I stopped pretending yesterday. Edit the for sale sign went into the beach house lawn at 9:17 Friday morning. Its white posts sinking into the sand-heavy soil 20 yards from the front steps. Vanessa watched through a video call as the listing agent straightened the blue placard beneath it, while behind him the Atlantic flashed silver through the dune grass and wind rattled the palm fronds beside the driveway. Photos are already live, he said. Given the location and the renovation, I expect serious interest quickly. Vanessa sat at her office desk downtown, one hand resting beside a cup of coffee gone cold. The air conditioning whispered overhead, and morning sun reflected sharply from the neighboring glass tower. No open house, she said. Private showings only. Qualified buyers. Understood. And my in-laws get reasonable notice before anyone enters. She ended the call and approved the listing from her laptop. By noon, Adrian knew. His name lit her phone while she was leaving a conference room. She answered as the elevator doors closed around her, sealing her inside brushed steel and soft fluorescent light. You listed it. No greeting. Yes. Take it down. Vanessa pressed the lobby button. No, my mother saw the sign. Your mother was notified before the listing went active. She called me crying. The elevator descended with a low mechanical hum. Then you should explain why the house she loved became the place you moved Bianca into. Don't do that. Do what? Make this sound like I forced you. The doors opened onto a lobby smelling faintly of polished stone and fresh flowers. Vanessa walked past the security desk without breaking stride. You didn't force me to sell anything. You reminded me who owned it. Outside, taxis hissed over damp pavement. Adrian's voice hardened. I'll stop seeing Bianca. Vanessa stopped beneath the building awning. You think this is a negotiation? I'm telling you I'll end it. You already brought her into that house. And I said she's gone. That doesn't carry her suitcases back out of my memory. Adrian went quiet. A horn sounded somewhere behind Vanessa. Take the listing down, he said finally, and I'll come home. We'll get counseling. Whatever you want. Vanessa watched rainwater drip from the edge of the awning. You're offering me my own marriage in exchange for my own property. She ended the call. That afternoon, the first buyers toured the beach house. By sunset, there were two offers. The stronger one came from a retired couple paying cash, no financing contingency, closing in 14 days. Their offer was $72,000 above asking. Danielle forwarded the paperwork at 6:42 p.m. Vanessa read every page at her dining table, while city lights warmed the windows and the smell of takeout Thai food lingered untouched beside her. Then her building intercom buzzed. Mrs. Cole, the doorman said, your husband is downstairs. Vanessa looked at the offer. Send him up. Adrian entered 7 minutes later carrying the locked black card in one hand. He placed it beside her laptop. Enough. His coat was damp at the shoulders, and rain ticked against the windows behind him. Take the house off the market and turn this back on. Vanessa rotated the laptop toward him. The purchase offer filled the screen. Adrian read the price. His fingers stopped against the card. You have an offer already? 2. You're not accepting either. Vanessa picked up the stylus. Why? Because my parents need that house. Your parents need a home. You decided you needed that house for Bianca. His jaw flexed. Vanessa, if you sign that, there's no fixing this. She placed the stylus against the signature field. You keep warning me about consequences like I'm the one who started them. Adrian reached for the laptop, then stopped when Vanessa looked directly at him. The rain struck, harder against the glass. She signed. The screen refreshed. Offer accepted. Adrian stared at those two words while Vanessa set the stylus down. For the first time since she had found Bianca inside the beach house, Adrian had nothing left to demand about it. The house was no longer waiting for his permission. It was waiting to close. Edit by Saturday night. Adrian was standing beneath the amber lights of the Bellwether Hotel while a payment terminal flash declined between him and the front desk clerk. The lobby smelled of cedar polish and fresh lilies, and somewhere behind the marble bar, piano notes drifted beneath the quiet clink of glassware. Bianca stood several feet away beside two cream suitcases, her arms folded beneath a camel-colored coat. Try it again, Adrian said. The clerk gave the black card another careful swipe. A red message appeared. I'm sorry, Mr. Cole. It's still declining. Adrian pulled out a second card. Use this one. Another electronic chirp. Another red screen. The clerk lowered his voice. That account is unavailable as well. Bianca stepped closer. I thought you said the first card was just locked. Adrian gathered both cards from the counter. It is. Then why doesn't that one work? He didn't answer. Vanessa had spent the afternoon at her dining table separating what belonged to Adrian from what merely carried his name. The black premium card had been first, then the secondary travel card, then the household spending account he used for restaurants, clothing, rides, and hotel deposits. She did not touch his personal checking account or his business funds. She simply removed his access to hers. Each click produced the same clean confirmation tone from her laptop. Authorized user removed. Card canceled. Digital wallet access revoked. Outside her windows, late sunlight burned orange against the towers while the scent of coffee lingered beside a stack of closing documents. Adrian's phone rang before she finished the final account. What did you do? His voice carried through a rush of hotel lobby noise. Vanessa clicked Save Changes. I removed you from my cards. All of them. All of mine. I'm standing at a hotel desk. Then use your own card. You know my personal card has a lower limit. Vanessa closed the banking portal. Then choose a room within it. His breath scraped against the microphone. You're embarrassing me. No one at that desk knows anything except that your payment didn't go through. Bianca is standing right here. Vanessa looked toward the black card Adrian had left on her dining table the night before. That sounds like something the two of you can solve together. Bianca's voice came faintly through the phone. Ask her about the car. Adrian went silent for half a second. What about the car? What car? The SUV. Vanessa stood and walked toward the window. The leased Range Rover. The one I drive every day. The lease is through my company. Vanessa. What? Do not touch the car. She watched a train slide between buildings below, its windows glowing against the darkening city. Then assume the payments yourself. You're dismantling my life piece by piece. Vanessa's fingertips rested against the cold glass. I'm separating your life from what I finance. We're married, and you're living with someone else. The lobby noise on his end disappeared as Adrian moved somewhere quieter. I told you I would end that. Vanessa glanced at the clock. But you didn't. Adrian said nothing. That silence answered more cleanly than any confession could have. She returned to her laptop and opened the vehicle account. The next lease payment is Monday, she said. Transfer the contract or arrange your own transportation before then. You can't seriously be doing this. I already did. She submitted the account transfer notice. Adrian's voice sharpened. You think because you earn more, you get to decide what I'm allowed to have. Vanessa picked up the black card and turned it once between her fingers, its matte surface catching the pendant light. No, you decide what you can have. She placed it beside her wedding ring. You just don't get to decide what I have to pay for. At the bellwether, Bianca lifted one suitcase and stepped toward the revolving doors. Where are you going? Adrian asked. Somewhere I can actually check in. Her heels clicked across the marble and disappeared into the street noise beyond the doors. Adrian remained at the counter with two useless cards in his hand. Then his phone vibrated. A new message from Vanessa appeared on the screen. Closing is in 13 days. Have your parents' belongings out before the final walkthrough. Edit Adrian was waiting outside Vanessa's office Monday morning when the elevator doors opened, one hand gripping a thick envelope and the other holding the black card she had canceled. The corridor smelled of fresh coffee and floor polish, and white morning light spilled through the glass walls behind him, sharpening every crease in his navy suit. Vanessa stepped out without slowing. You have 5 minutes, she said. I need more than 5. Then start talking. She unlocked her office and walked inside. Adrian followed, closing the door with a controlled click. He placed the envelope on her desk. My parents found an apartment. Vanessa removed her coat and hung it over the chair. Good. Good. Adrian stared at her. They're packing 30 years of their lives because you're selling the place they thought was theirs. They lived there 4 years, Adrian. You know what I mean. I do. She sat and opened her laptop. That's the problem. He pushed the envelope toward her. Inside were printed photographs of the beach house, Christmas dinner on the deck, Evelyn beside the kitchen island, Adrian's father holding a fishing rod near the dunes. Look at them. Vanessa didn't touch the photographs. I was there. Then stopped the closing. No. Adrian pulled out the chair opposite her, but instead of sitting, He gripped its leather back. Bianca is gone. Vanessa's fingers stopped above the keyboard. Gone where? It doesn't matter. I ended it. After the hotel declined my cards? His eyes flicked away. The HVAC breathed softly through the ceiling vents. Outside the glass wall, phones rang and keyboards clicked, ordinary office sounds pressing against the silence inside. I made a terrible decision, Adrian said. More than one. Fine. More than one. He finally Saturday. I should never have brought her into that house. Vanessa watched him. No. Interruption. No rescue. Adrian rubbed his thumb over the edge of his wedding band. I knew you bought it. I knew your name was on the deed. I knew you paid the taxes. His voice dropped. I just stopped thinking of any of that as yours. Vanessa leaned back slightly. Why? He looked at the photographs between them. Because you always handled everything. That isn't an answer. Adrian swallowed. Because I got used to it. The words landed without drama. No music. No raised voice. Just the quiet hum of fluorescent lights and the faint bitterness of coffee cooling beside Vanessa's hand. The house. The cards. The car. Restaurants. Trips. I started treating access like ownership. Vanessa's eyes stayed on him. And Bianca? Adrian's jaw tightened. I treated the beach house like somewhere I could take whatever I wanted because I assumed you would still be there afterward. Vanessa closed the laptop. There it is. Adrian looked up. What? The part you kept calling a mistake. She slid the photographs back into the envelope. You didn't forget who owned the house. You counted on me not acting like I did. He pushed back from the desk. So what now? You punish me forever. Vanessa opened a drawer and removed a folder Danielle had prepared. She placed it in front of Adrian. The first page showed the accepted purchase contract. The second listed the scheduled closing date. The third showed confirmation that Adrian's authorized user accounts had been terminated. This isn't punishment. Adrian flipped through the pages, faster each time. Then what is it? A boundary with paperwork. He stopped at the closing page. 11 days. Yes. You could still cancel. I won't. Adrian stood, the chair rolling several inches behind him. And the cards. Cancelled. The car. Transfer deadline is today at 5. He stared at her across the desk, his hands empty now. You're taking everything. Vanessa rose and pushed the folder back toward him. No, her voice stayed level. I'm leaving you everything that was actually yours. Adrian's mouth opened, but she continued. Your income, your accounts, your career, your choices, even the consequences. She walked to the office door and opened it. Cool air moved through the corridor. I didn't take your life away, Adrian. His eyes lifted to hers. I stopped paying for it. For several seconds, he remained beside the desk while employees moved silently beyond the glass. Then Vanessa looked at the clock on the wall. 9:24 a.m. The vehicle transfer closes at 5, she said. And in 11 days, the beach house belongs to someone else. Edit 11 days later, Vanessa sat across from Danielle Mercer in a quiet conference room while the final closing documents waited beneath a brass desk lamp. Rain tapped softly against the tall windows, and the room smelled of fresh paper, dark coffee, and the leather portfolio beneath her hands. Danielle turned the last page toward her. Once you sign here, the funds release and title transfers. Vanessa picked up the pen. There was no hesitation this time. The nib moved across the paper with a dry whisper. Vanessa Cole. Danielle checked the signature, closed the folder, and pressed a key on his laptop. It's done. Her phone vibrated almost immediately. The wire confirmation showed the sale proceeds deposited into her account. The beach house no longer belonged to her. More importantly, it no longer belonged to Adrian's assumptions. That afternoon, Vanessa drove down the coast one final time. The sky had cleared, leaving the Atlantic bright beneath a pale blue horizon, and warm salt air poured through her open window. Adrian's parents had already moved into a 2-bedroom apartment Vanessa had helped them locate near Evelyn's sister. Vanessa had paid the security deposit directly to the landlord, not because Adrian asked, and not because she owed anyone, but because 4 years of kindness did not have to become cruelty simply because someone had abused it. At the beach house, the new owners were scheduled to receive the keys at 4. Vanessa stepped through the front door at 3:32. The rooms echoed now. No suitcases, no champagne glasses, no silk scarf across the dining chair. Sunlight stretched over bare oak floors, and the ocean thundered beyond the open deck. Adrian stood near the kitchen island. He had come to collect the last box of family photographs. No tailored jacket this time. No black premium card. Just rolled sleeves, his own car keys, and a cardboard box held against his hip. So it closed, he said. This morning. Adrian looked toward the windows. Mom likes the apartment. Vanessa nodded. Good. She told me you paid the deposit. For her. Not for you. He absorbed that without argument. The refrigerator had been emptied and unplugged, leaving only the waves and the faint creak of the house settling around them. Adrian placed the box on the island. I transferred the Range Rover lease. I saw the confirmation, and I opened my own travel card. Vanessa looked at him. Then you won't need mine. A faint movement crossed his mouth, almost a smile, but it disappeared before it formed. No. He slid his hand into his pocket and removed the canceled black card. He set it on the marble between them. I kept thinking you'd change your mind. Vanessa glanced at it. About the card? About all of it. He looked around the empty kitchen. The house. Us. Vanessa rested her fingertips against the cool marble. You thought I'd absorb the damage because I always absorb the cost. Adrian lowered his eyes. This time he didn't defend himself. I did. Vanessa picked up the card and snapped it once through the center. The plastic gave with a clean crack. She dropped both halves into the empty trash bin beneath the island. Bianca wasn't the reason this ended, she said. Adrian looked up. She was the moment I finally saw what our marriage had become. He nodded slowly. I know. At 4 o'clock, a car turned into the driveway. The new owners. Vanessa took the final key from her pocket and placed it on the marble where Adrian's bourbon glass had stood that first afternoon. Then she walked outside. Adrian followed, carrying the box himself. At the driveway, they stopped beside separate cars. No shouting. No bargaining. No card waiting to be reactivated. No house left for him to claim. Adrian looked toward the ocean once, then back at Vanessa. I'm sorry I treated everything you gave me like something I was entitled to. Vanessa opened her car door. I hope someday you understand the difference. She drove away as the new owners climbed the front steps, their keys catching sunlight in their hands. In the rearview mirror, Adrian grew smaller beside the for sale sign that would soon be removed, standing with nothing except what was actually his. Vanessa faced the highway ahead, her bare ring finger resting lightly on the steering wheel, and for the first time, generosity no longer required her surrender. Adrian had mistaken her love for unlimited credit, until Vanessa finally taught him that dignity was the one thing she would never finance.